Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. Today we're going to be taking a look at another brand new design coming out of Kansept. And I've had an opportunity to review several knives over the past 6 months or so from Kansept, which previous to that was really a brand that I had not paid a lot of attention to. I had seen some people discussing them on YouTube and some people discussing them in knife groups. And even though everybody that I had seen talk about them said that they really enjoyed the knives, they were much higher quality than the money that they paid, I just never made a leap into the brand. So I'm glad that I've had the opportunity this year to do that a few times and to share that with you, because I honestly think that Kansept is making some of the most interesting designs using some of the coolest materials, which you're going to be seeing here with the blue and white carbon fiber. And they're working with some really great designers. In this case, it'll be JK Knives once again, recreating their Integra collaboration. And they're doing it all for really, really nice prices. As a matter of fact, this one right here is only going to be $159. Now, that's a lower price point than what I typically offer up to show you guys. However, I think that this represents quite a nice value. And for those that may have looked at the original framelock Integras and thought that they were going to be a really great addition to your EDC, of course they absolutely will. I'll tell you this, from the few days that I've had this and been playing with it, the action on these has been perfected. Woo, man. On the Entropic with Damascus blade, that one was dialed in and it was great. But if you remember in that same video, I was also showing a bronzed titanium version with a bead blasted blade, and the action was not dialed in. It was very, very, very difficult to flip. And this one is honestly quite perfect. And I'll tell you this right now, if you've ever owned a great design in a frame lock and found that no matter what you did, your fingers were sitting on the lock bar, making it impossible to overcome the detent and get the knife to flip, then you should seriously consider looking at Linerlock options in designs that you like. Because this one is going to be a fan-friggin-tastic choice. Let's do the typical breakdown. We'll do the TLDW, which are the high-line points of the knife, the pros and the cons. Then we'll get into the specs, and then we'll get into my final thoughts and the actual personalized review portion of this video. So, starting the TLDW, too long didn't watch for those with short attention spans. Pros on this knife. Number one will be the big change to the liner lock. So going from a frame lock into a liner lock is going to give you the same degree of strength in the locking mechanism, but it's going to offer you a different experience, especially if you have larger hands that tend to rest against the lock bar. The action is fantastic. That's the next pro, because they're using a ceramic detent and ceramic bearings. So it's got a nice release when you hit that flipper tab, which, by the way, another pro is the very, very tiny flipper tab, just like Yarrick had designed on his original custom Integras. And, oh, nice and drop shutty gravity close with those smooth ceramic bearings. Now, it's not a very thick blade, but it is pretty long, so it's got a little bit of assistance just because it's got a little bit of weight to the blade being as long as it is. Now, speaking of weight, that is the next pro. It is significantly lighter in weight than the titanium framelock versions, weighing in at only 5.5 ounces. So now, you've got a larger size knife, 3.63 inch blade, that's light enough that you could actually carry it off for EDC. Now, there are a lot of people that carry off much bigger, much heavier knives and EDC them, but I'm talking about the general population. Most people have a comfort zone, very small comfort zone that they sit within for their weight. And for a lot of people, it's certainly going to be under 6 ounces. A lot of people want to be around 4 or 5 ounces maximum. And at 5.5, you're barely going to notice that you're carrying it, even though it is a larger knife. When it's open, you're looking at 8.5 inches. So it's not a tiny knife, but it's thin, it's pretty slim, and when it's folded, it's very compact because about 95% of the blade goes into the frame. Very, very little is sticking out. Just fantastic. I want to take a look at what it says here on the blade. Let's get a nice close-up. All right, so it's their model number for this particular variation, 1042B2, and the blade steel marked as S35VN. And then the Integra name on the back, and JK Knives, the credit to the designer, the maker of the original custom. And I'm not sure if this is fat carbon or camo carbon or who is making this carbon fiber, but I love the blue and white that's integrated into the black carbon fiber. Looks refreshing, looks very different from most anything else you're going to have in your collection. So you've got titanium liners, S35VN steel blade, titanium backspacer, titanium pocket clip, nicely milled pocket clip. So the materials would be the next pro. Oh, my apologies. I had to cut the video for a second. I was losing about half my vision in my left eye, which is something I'm learning to live with now. My health is ridiculous. Okay, so materials. The carbon fiber, titanium, S35VN steel. It's really, really good premium stuff, especially when you consider you're spending $160 for it. It's not $250, it's not $350, not $400, and there are a lot of brands out there, a lot, making knives in the same region of the world that would charge you between $250 and $400 for these same materials in a similar type of design. So that's another reason I'm starting to really like Kansept, and we'll add this to the pro list. It's a wonderfully affordable price. Honestly, as I think about it, because S35VN as a raw material is expensive. I've bought many, many, many billets and half sheets of S35VN, making my own knives, and it is expensive when compared to most other popular steels. This carbon fiber is probably not very cheap either. I know when I buy from Fat Carbon, Camo Carbon, Carbon Waves, the few more radical carbon fiber companies that do cool patterns, they can get pretty expensive. I mean, you could be looking at, $60, $50 for a set of scales right around this size. And then, of course, the titanium for the liners, titanium for the backspacer and pocket clip, all the machine time for milling everything and doing all this work. I have to say, it's it's rather difficult to think how they could put this kind of product out for that price. I mean, you have to put it in terms of sales volume, right? If you knew you were only going to make a dozen of these and you're only going to sell a dozen of these, yeah, they might be $400. But because you can factor in your waste rate and all these other things, cost of heat treating, cost of machining time, into large batches, let's say they make 2,000 or 3,000 of these knives. I don't know how many they're making. I don't know if it's more limited than that or if it's a larger run than that. But you can spread out those costs across those many multiple units, and that brings your unit price down low enough that it allows you to do this. And that's why I think production knives, higher end production, are becoming so much more popular within the knife industry right now, because you can minimize your cost per unit because you're making so many knives. If you approach any typical OEM and say, hey, I want to make my design of a folding knife, they're going to tell you 300 units MOQ, minimum order quantity. So you know you've got to make at least 300 of them. That's a general number. I've seen some that have allowed as little as 200 to be made, or if you have many projects with that same OEM, they may even go lower than that. So looking at 300 units versus maybe what you could output as a custom knife maker making your own mid-tech in your own shop, running your own CNC, paying your own electric, doing your own heat treating, paying possibly a crew of people to babysit the CNC while it's running and do tool changes and grind the blades and things like that and do final fitment and adjustments. It would cost you tremendously more that way, so you'd have to charge a lot more that way. Want to get the nice black wash finish like this. You want to see it without all the oils all over it and smearing across it and making it look discolored and things like that. This is a really nice looking finish. Highlights the bevels very, very well. And now on to the cons. I'll be honest with you, I have not come across any cons yet. I've had this now for a few days. I've played with it quite a bit. Had it in the pocket yesterday, ran around, cut a couple little things, small things, nothing major. And I had zero complaints about anything with this knife. I think if I were to make any sort of complaint, it would be trite. It would be a ridiculous, nitpicking little thing. I will say this, if you want this design and you want more of a premium feel than what the blue and white carbon fiber offers, they are offering a full Timascus frame version. Or I'm sorry, I think it must be Timascus inlays. I'm probably misremembering the website right now. But the every version, I don't know why I was stuttering there, every version that I've seen looks really, really cool. And they're going to definitely appeal to a lot of various different types of collectors that are out there. Very quickly, we'll get into the specs. All right, so overall length, we're looking at 8.5 inches, blade length of 3.63 inches of black washed CPM S35 VN. That's 118 thousandths of an inch thick. And while they list it as a drop point, it is absolutely not. It is a reverse tanto. Blue and white carbon fiber for the scales over titanium liners. And 5.5 ounces is the weight. As you could tell from the way I've been handling this throughout the video, one of my favorite things about this knife is the action. It's like, it's addictive. You don't want to stop flipping it. You want to keep flipping it. You want to keep playing with it. And it's not like the knife requires a break-in procedure, because everything is fitted very, very well. You would truly expect this to be twice the price that it is. And you've got that ceramic detent, you've got the ceramic bearings, so all the way around it's made properly, it's made correctly. It feels fantastic. Now I know the pattern of the carbon fiber kind of camouflages this, but you've still got the same bevels in the frame that the original versions had. I don't know if I can really properly show it, but this right here is a bevel going all the way back. And then you've got the facets going around the ends of the scales. There we go. I think we can kind of see it there. So it feels really, really nice in the hand. So my overall thoughts on this are, if you like a bit of a larger knife as far as length goes, but you don't want anything that's very thick or very tall, and you like the look of a blade that is almost completely inside of the frame when it's folded, you want something that's kind of lightweight for that kind of size, then I think that this is going to be an excellent choice for you. And if you're shopping on a budget, that's certainly going to be a major factor right now. Fewer people are making luxury purchases at this point, thanks to the economy. And that's just the way it is. And that's not a political statement. That's not, bashing on the current administration or anything. It's just a fact of life. And we're weighing each of our purchases a little more carefully. And it's always nice when you have the option to get into something that's inexpensive, that you really, really like the aesthetics of, and that you really like the performance of. Because if I had come out here and not disclosed the price and just went, oh, you guys got to click this link and go over there and see how it's priced and how wonderful it is, and you'd be expecting this to be more than the price that it is. I know I was certainly surprised when I opened the box and went,
ooh, really? Huh. For $159, huh?
very interesting. So you don't always have to spend a lot of money to get a cool knife. If you're looking to buy an heirloom piece and something that will have incredible longevity and will appreciate in value, this is not the category of knives you're going to be looking in. That's when you are going to be buying custom knives, one-off knives, or very, very, very limited edition, special edition mid-techs and productions that have very big famous names on them. This, on the other hand, is a great, usable, everyday carry knife that has sexy lines, a beautiful design, an incredible action, very good materials, and is priced below what I think is even what we would call a fair price. Fair price. I'm getting all tongue twisted and tongue tied, and I don't know why. But I really dig this knife a lot. And I got to tell you, I'm happy for JK Knives. I'm happy that they teamed up with a company that was able to bring out this beautiful design in so many variations and at such an affordable price that it's going to allow people into his incredible design work without having to spend, $1,000 on a custom. And it's going to help, obviously, his business. His name's going to get more out there. Every time somebody picks up their Integra and says, man, I love this knife, well, there's JK Knives right on the back. So it's almost like a business card for him. If you have one of the original Integras in the titanium framelock, and you've really enjoyed that, but maybe kind of nitpicked it because maybe it was a little bit harder to overcome the detent, you're going to want to add this one to your collection. Maybe not in this particular color palette. I liked the blue and white. That's why I chose this one. And it's wildly different from everything else that I own. And I think that once you get it, you're going to go, wow, this was really the perfect execution. Whew. Anyway, them's my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I have many, many, many more that I need to upload, and I'll see you on those future videos.